Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatir Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we are continuing our discussion of the GoSwami Astakam, which was very beautifully written by Srinivas Acharya, one of the Shiksha disciples of Jiva Goswami, who is one of the 6 Goswamis, and as a result, he heard from Jiva Goswami about the glories of all the other Goswamis, and he wrote this wonderful, beautiful glorification for the 6 Goswamis. So we'll read the 7th one and discuss about the glories of Raghunath Bhatta Goswami today. We already discussed the glories of Rupa Goswami, Srila Sanatan Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and today we'll discuss the glories of Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. Let's see how far we go. If not, we'll continue in the next series. Radha Kunda Tate Kalinda Tanaya Tire Chavam Shivate Premon Madhavasada Shesha Dashaya Grastau Pramattau Sada Gayantu Chakada Harer Gunavaram Bhava Vibhutau Muda Vande Rupa Sanatanau Raghuyugau Shri Jiva Gopalakau Vande Rupa Sanatanau Raghuyugau Shri Jiva Gopalakau. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the 6 Goswamis, namely Shri Rupa Goswami, Shri Sanatan Goswami, Shri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Shri Raghunath Das Goswami, Shri Jiva Goswami, and Shri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who were sometimes on the bank of the Radha Kunda lake or the shores of the Yamuna, and sometimes at Vamsivata. There they appeared just like madmen in the full ecstasy of love for Krishna, exhibiting different transcendental symptoms in their bodies, and they were merged in the ecstasy of Krishna consciousness. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we will discuss about the glories of the six Goswamis, and today we are discussing on Srila Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. Raghunath Bhatta Goswami is the son of Sri Tapan Mishra, who was also one of the associates of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And not much is known about Srila Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. But still, we can understand from some of the writings of some of the others about some associates of Lord Chaitanya about Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. He appeared in around 1505, and that's an approximate date. We'll understand why. Although Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would consider his singing, cooking, and recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam to be unparalleled in the history of Vaishnavism, very little is known about Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. He is one of the most mysterious of the six Goswamis. In fact, among the six Goswamis, Raghunath Bhatta is the only one to have not left any literary contribution. And because of that also we lack information about him. But we know that he hails from East Bengal, which is Bangladesh nowadays. But there is no clear genealogy. Just like we have clear understanding of the generations of Jiva Goswami, Srupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami. But there is not much documentary evidence except that in 1503, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami's father, Tapan Mishra, he relocated to Banaras. He was actually, Tapan Mishra was a soul who was seeking the absolute truth. He was in East Bengal, Bangladesh. He was seeking the absolute truth, and he was going around and around and around, learning from different teachers. But his heart was really not satisfied. And he was so eager to know about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that Krishna within his heart took him to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And when he heard from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and when he served Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his heart melted, and he understood, this is what I was looking for. This is what my heart was yearning for. And he completely dedicated his life to serving Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. His search had ended, and he was right there, where he always wanted to be. But Lord Chaitanya told him, instructed him, that you go to Varanasi, to Banaras, and stay there. And Tapan Mishra was shocked, because of all places you're asking me to go to Banaras? That's the headquarters of the Mayavadis. And you can ask me to go to any place. I'll find association of devotees, and in your remembrance, I'll associate with the devotees and serve the devotees. I can sustain my spiritual life that way. But Banaras, no Vaishnava likes to go there. At least not at that time. Because it was the seat of the Mayavadis. There was no association of devotees. Zero. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, go to Banaras and wait for me. I will come there. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knew that Tapan Mishra will be able to sustain his spiritual life just on the order, wait for me. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Banaras after 11 years of giving this instruction to Tapan Mishra, who would be Raghunath Bhatta's father. For 11 years, Tapan Mishra very patiently stayed in Banaras, maintained his sadhana, spiritual service, sustained himself materially, and so many different ways. He was just in separation from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So in this way, he was. It was very heartbreaking for him. Imagine if we were in that situation. Many times we have to locate to a place where there is not much association of devotees. So how do we sustain ourselves in that case? Srila Prabhupada said, if there is no association, create association of devotees. And that's what Tapan Mishra did. He went there and he created a small association of devotees in Banaras itself. It was so difficult. But he did that. And then, when he reached there, within 2 years of his reaching, in 1505, his son was born, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. And so, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was returning to Puri from Vrindavan, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first time went to Vrindavan, and he was so ecstatic in Vrindavan. And then when he was returning back to Puri, he came via Banaras. And he came to Banaras to see the main purpose was to see his prominent devotees, Tapan Mishra, Chandrasekhar, who was also a physician. And he came there to defeat the Mayavadi philosophers. And that was the reason why he sent Tapan Mishra in advance. That was the strategy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Just like before Krishna arrives, all the demigods take birth in different places. All his associates from the spiritual world come and take birth in different places, so that when Krishna comes, they will start assisting them. Just like Srila Prabhupada. Before Srila Prabhupada came to America, Krishna arranged for several of his disciples or future disciples to take birth in different parts of the world, who will then help him when Srila Prabhupada arrives in America for his mission at the appropriate time. In the same way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Tapan Mishra and Chandrasekhar to go there and prepare the place for the arrival of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who would then come and single-handedly transform the Mayavadis' hearts. We have the famous example of how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu transformed the heart of the Mayavadis there when he was, especially Prakashananda Saraswati, who was the head, the spiritual master of all the sannyasis, Mayavadis there. And when Prakashananda Saraswati, he invited Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to a gathering of all this Mayavadi sannyasis. He was saying, "You are so young, you are so illustrious, but why are you wasting your time singing and dancing? You should be studying and discussing and debating Shastra with all of us. You don't know the ways." And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very silent actually at that time. And he continued his singing and dancing. And Prakashananda Saraswati said, "I am from the Saraswati Sampradaya. You are from the Bharati Sampradaya. You have taken sannyas from the Bharati Sampradaya." He took from Keshava Bharati, which is considered to be a lower Sampradaya than Saraswati Sampradaya. You come and you learn from me, I will teach you, and I will give you initiation in the Saraswati Sampradaya. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the invitation. He went there, and there were 5,000 sannyasis sitting there, hearing from Prakashananda Saraswati. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, and very humbly, without disturbing the assembly, he sat down where people wash their feet. And Prakashananda Saraswati, he saw that. And he got up from his seat and came personally to lift Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and receive him and ask him, why are you sitting here? Please, you are a sannyasi. You should come and sit amongst us. And seeing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's humility, Prakashananda Saraswati's heart melted. And because he performed the service of giving his hand to lift Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and assist him to go to his higher seat and gave respect to him, he became qualified for receiving bhakti. Even though he was preaching and following the very offensive Mayavad philosophy. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave him the qualification to receive bhakti. And for the next few hours, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu debated with all the Mayavadi sannyasis from the Shastra, indicating the glories of chanting the holy names. Just like he had explained and debated with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and Jagannath Puri, he repeated the same things in the same feat, but in much larger scale in Banaras. And Prakashananda Saraswati was completely convinced, and he surrendered to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And as he surrendered, his 5,000 disciples surrendered. And the entire Banaras, the seed of bhakti that was planted and by Tapan Mishra and others, started sprouting with the help of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now all of this happened in front of this little 9-year-old boy, Raghunath Bhatta. when he was in Banaras, Mahaprabhu resided at the home of Chandrasekhar and accepted his daily lunch at the house of Tapan Mishra or at the house of Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. Everyday lunch. Imagine if Lord Chaitanya arrives in America today, in one of your cities, and he stays, of course he stays at the temple president's house, but he comes to your home for lunch every day. How fortunate that is. And whenever Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to arrive at Tapan Mishra's house, young Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, he used to anxiously approach him, very carefully, very eagerly, just like his father used to eagerly search out for the absolute truth. Raghunath Bhatta Goswami had that same eagerness to serve. And he would ask Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, please, can you please engage me in some menial service? It was so cute. This little 9-year-old boy wanting to be engaged in service, asking for it, begging for it. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu allowed the boy, little Raghunath Bhatta, to massage his legs and wash his dishes. These are the two foremost, highest bala, Mahabala, source of spiritual strength. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Bhakta pada dhuliya, Bhakta pada jal, Bhakta bhukta avashishta, Itina Mahabal. He describes 3 Mahabal, 3 great sources of spiritual strength. Bhakta pada dhuliya, the dust from the lotus feet of a devotee. Bhakta pada jal, the water which has washed the lotus feet of his devotees. Bhakta bhukta avashishta, which means the remnants of the food from the devotees. These 3 are great sources of strength, because if we accept these 3 things, if we honor these 3 things, that is the way that consciousness of that devotee transfers into us. Sometimes people who see it from a material angle may say, yucky, what is that? You're eating remnants of someone else's food? That has so much bacteria and so many things here and there. But one who sees with the eyes of faith in the instructions of the Lord, understand, this is how consciousness travels. From the dust of the lotus feet. When we do this, when we take the dust from the lotus feet of the devotees, in fact, Krishna says that in Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that the reason holy places are holy is because of the dust of the lotus feet of the devotees that come there. The reason Mother Ganga is considered pure is also because it was touched by the lotus feet of the Lord, but also all the people come and they deposit their sins in Ganga, and when devotees take bath in Mother Ganges, they purify those sins that are there in Ganga. So when we take the dust from the lotus feet, it indicates that we want to serve the devotees. It should not be a kabaddi match by grabbing the dust of the lotus feet. Even though the devotee doesn't want to give, and you're grabbing, and we are grabbing his feet, and he falls down and he gets a fracture. That's not the way to take the dust from the lotus feet. Actually, the real meaning of taking the dust from the lotus feet means to serve them in a menial way, to please them, to make them happy in some way or the other, perform service to them. That is what it means by taking the dust. But in the literal sense also, taking the dust from the lotus feet of the devotees, taking the water that is offered to the lotus feet, and taking the remnants. Krishna is so pleased by this that from within the heart he gives spiritual strength. He transfers that consciousness of that devotee into us. And Raghunath Bhatta Goswami was allowed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to massage his legs every night, to wash his dishes where all the remnants were there. And Raghunath Bhatta greatly relished these menial duties. And after approximately 2 months, it was time for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to return to his headquarters in Jagannath Puri. And when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami was so heartbroken. But he was in separation. He would constantly meditate on his loving interactions with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. His remembrance of the activities gave him some solace, and as the years passed, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami's remembrance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu developed even further and further and further. In fact, it's this separation from the Lord which is considered to be the highest form of devotional service. His father Tapan Mishra performed service in separation from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That quality went into Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, and he performed his services in separation from the Lord. In fact, in separation, when there is sambhoga, when the devotees come together, there is always a fear that, we'll separate now. We'll get into viraha. But when there is separation, we relish the hope of meeting. The hope that we will meet our spiritual master one day. The hope that we will meet Krishna one day. That hope is much, much more relishable than the actual meeting. But once you meet, that hope turns into fear that we will separate now. We waited to meet our spiritual master, and now we are meeting him. As soon as we meet him, suddenly the fear comes in. Oh, for how long? He's going to go away now. So, it is said that the hope of separation is the key for love in separation. Even Srimati Radharani and the gopis, they like to be in separation because there is always a hope. They relish the separation, love in separation much more than actual meeting, because as soon as they meet, the fear comes in. Oh, Krishna is going to leave. Krishna is going to leave. When is he going to leave? And then, oh my God, he has left. And then separation starts. And then after some time, the hope comes. Oh, we are going to meet him. So in this way, even the 6 Goswamis, they were actually serving in separation. Even the Sad Goswami Ashtaka sings that they would go everywhere, calling out, going all over Vrindavan, and in separation asking for Krishna, thinking of Krishna. This is also given in the GoSwami Astakam. But coming back to Srila Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, he always thought that one day I'll go to Jagannath Puri and reunite with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and I will continue my personal service there. So as Raghunath Bhatta Goswami approached his 20th year, which means in 1525, he left from Banaras to Puri along with one of his servants. On the way, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, he decided to embark on a lengthy tour of Bengal. So from Banaras to Puri, he said, let me go via Bengal and I'll take a tour of Bengal and all the places of pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, as well as his hometown. That was where his father belonged, from East Bengal. So he went there and he met an accountant named Ramdas. And this Ramdas, he worked for a Muslim king, but he was very learned in all the scriptures and he was a great devotee of Lord Ramachandra. So when Raghunath Bhatta Goswami saw Ramdas, that he had renounced his attachment to the world and was departing to Puri to surrender his life to the Lord, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami and his servants were going to Puri as well. One servant was going to Puri as well. And so they said, let's travel together. You're going to Puri? I'm also going to Puri. Let's travel together. And Ramdas, he insisted that, please, Raghunath Bhatta, please allow me to carry your baggage on my head. Because Ramdas could understand that Raghunath Bhatta was an exalted devotee and he wanted to serve him. And eventually Ramdas performed several duties in service of Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, including massaging Raghunath Bhatta Goswami's legs and seeing to his every need. And he was serving with such care and devotion. But Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, his humility was not allowing him to tolerate that another soul is serving me. My dear Ramdas, you are a respectable gentleman. I don't find any reason why you should serve someone as fallen as myself. Let's just travel together. You're my friend. Ramdas replied, no, Raghunath, I am a Shudra. I am a very fallen soul. To serve a Brahmana is my duty and is a religious principle. So please don't hesitate. I'm your servant. When I serve you, I feel so happy. And Raghunath Bhatta reluctantly just agreed, and Ramdas insisted, continued to carry his luggage and serve him. And while doing so, Ramdas was very enthusiastically chanting the holy name of Ramachandra. And Raghunath Bhatta Goswami was so inspired by him. Wow, such a wonderful person. And in this way, traveling from Bengal, from Benares he went to Bengal, from Bengal he met Ramdas and eventually reached Puri. And in Puri he went to Gambhira, the house of Kashi Mishra, and he met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu there. Raghunath Bhatta Goswami immediately fell at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Do you remember me, my Lord? You came to our house. You used to have lunch and allow us to serve you. And when Raghunath Bhatta Goswami stood up, Mahaprabhu embraced him, knowing very well who this great personality was. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inquired about Tapan Mishra, about Chandrasekhar, and Raghunath Bhatta Goswami assured him that they are doing well. it's so good that you have come to Puri. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, now the first thing you should do is go to the temple and see the lotus-eyed Lord Jagannath. Then you can come back and we will have lunch together. So when he came back, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced him to all the devotees there, headed by Srila Sarup Damodar Goswami, who arranged for Raghunath Bhatta Goswami's proper accommodations. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed Raghunath Bhatta Goswami special mercy. He would have lunch with Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, allow him to do his personal service, and teach him the eternal truths of the Vedic literature. Now Raghunath Bhatta Goswami also often cooked for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and slowly he became an expert chef. In fact, it's said that all of his preparations, they tasted like nectar. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu especially appreciated Raghunath Bhatta Goswami's cooking. And Mahaprabhu was very selective in what he would eat, what he would not eat. But whatever Raghunath Bhatta Goswami would make, he would eat. And after Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would eat to his full satisfaction, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami ate whatever was left on Mahaprabhu's plate. In this way, he actually set an example for all the devotees on how we can make great spiritual advancement just by personal service of exalted souls and eating their remnants. So this was how he spent his life in Jagannath Puri. And I was just thinking, he was a son of a devotee. He was basically a congregation member. His father, Tapan Mishra, he was the son of Tapan Mishra. Just like in ISKCON today, in our homes, many of us have children, and so many great souls travel. Devotees, sannyasis, brahmacharis, they all travel. And if we host them, if we serve them, seeing our service attitude, our children also learn from that. And who knows, one of our children will become like Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, just by serving and taking the remnants. So after about 8 months, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed Raghunath Bhatta Goswami that now you should return home. You've been here for 8 months. You should serve your elderly parents. They are also devotees. But I instruct you one thing. Do not marry. Marriage will distract you from your goal. And the second instruction he gave him is study Srimad Bhagavatam under a pure Vaishnava. Instructing in these two ways, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami left, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took off his own neck beads and placed him around Raghunath Bhatta's neck. His personal neck beads of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he told Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, now you go to Banaras and one day you can come to Puri again. And then he embraced Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, and Raghunath Bhatta Goswami started crying in separation again from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When he returned back to Banaras, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami carried out Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's orders. He faithfully served his Vaishnava parents. He heard Srimad Bhagavatam from a self-realized soul who remains unknown, who is not documented, under whom did he reach Srimad Bhagavatam. But Raghunath Bhatta Goswami soon became a master of the recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam. In fact, for 4 years, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami's life and soul was serving his parents and absorbed in Srimad Bhagavatam until the day his parents departed from the world. And then he returned to Puri, attempting once again to meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and become fully absorbed in his lotus feet. When he reached Puri, again, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami again served Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the same way, and he stayed there for 8 months. But when this short 8 months period again elapsed, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again gave him an instruction, and he said, "This time I am giving you your life's mission. My dear Raghunath, you should go to Vrindavan. Follow my instructions and place yourself under the care of Rupa and Sanatan Goswamis. In Vrindavan, you chant the Hare Krishna mantra, read Srimad Bhagavatam continuously, just hearing and chanting under the expert guidance and care of Rupa and Sanatan Goswami. In this way, if you continue doing this, Krishna will personally bestow his mercy upon you." And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again embraced Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, and this embrace was special. This time when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, he was enlivened with ecstatic love for Krishna. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave some pepper, like betel nut kind of pepper, and a huge garland of tulsi leaves that was worn by Lord Jagannath. And Raghunath Bhatta Goswami preserved these holy items, worshipped them as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's remnants. Imagine if a exalted soul, if a devotee, senior devotee or our spiritual master gives us a garland, what do we do with that garland? Do we just keep it till it dries off and then throw it away? How do we take care of it? Each of these things are very, very important. Raghunath Bhatta Goswami preserved them and worshipped. This reminded him of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as his remnants. And then with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's permission, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami left Jagannath Puri and proceeded to Vrindavan. And he put himself under the care of Rupa and Sanatan Goswami. So in this way we understand that from the life of all these different great souls, that everything, if we simply serve the devotees of the Lord, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very pleased and he guides us from within. Now he may not sanction all of our activities, but he may not. Sometimes we see why these bad activities happen with us. Sometimes it may happen not because of Krishna's will, but he still sanctions it. There is a difference between Krishna's sanction and Krishna's will. Tapan Mishra also felt the same thing. One time Draupadi asked Krishna, "Do you think war will happen, the Mahabharata war?" So Krishna said, "Well, I don't want it to happen, but I think it will happen." Just then Yudhishthir was passing by. And Yudhishthir came in and he said, "Krishna, I heard you say that you don't want the war to happen, but it will happen. How can this happen? If you don't want the war to happen, how can it just happen? Because nothing happens without your will. No, not even a grass, not even a leaf falls, not even a grass moves without your will. So how can you say that you don't want something to happen but it will happen?" And then Krishna explained, Yudhishthir, my sanction and my will are different. Nothing can happen without my sanction. But I sanction some things even if I don't will it. Things can happen without my will, but it cannot happen without my sanction. So I don't want the war to happen, but I will sanction the war, and therefore it will happen. Just like the son, the father sometimes says, no, please don't buy a motorcycle. You're too young. I won't give you the car keys and all of that. But the son insists and insists and insists and again and again and again. And even though the father does not will it, he sanctions it. All right, take it. And then later, the child may suffer. And the father says, I knew it. I didn't want to give you, but I still did. I sanctioned it even though it was not my will. Similarly, a lot of people ask why so many bad things are happening all around, and the people who are doing the bad things are seeming that they are progressing, advancing materially. And those who are following the principles of spiritual life, they are actually being oppressed. What is this? How can Krishna allow that to happen? Does Krishna will? Does Krishna want this to happen? No, he doesn't want. He doesn't like to see people in misery. But he sanctions the law of karma. And he allows things to happen according to the situations. So this is an important aspect that we should understand, which all the 6 Goswamis showed us by their example. And when he went to Jagannath Puri, to Vrindavan, Rupa and Sanatan Goswami were very pleased with his exemplary behavior, and Raghunath Bhatta Goswami took full shelter of Sri Govinda Dev, the deity of Rupa Goswami. And he actually constructed the Radha Govinda temple in honor of Sri Sri Radha Govinda. Raghunath Bhatta Goswami had several wealthy disciples, and he instructed them to construct this gorgeous Radha Govinda temple in Vrindavan for Sri Sri Radha Govinda. Raghunath Bhatta himself prepared various ornaments for the deity. He himself did not have a deity that he would focus on, but he just focused on Radha Govinda, the deity of Rupa Goswami. He would prepare various ornaments for the deity. He would prepare a flute, set of earrings. And Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, very quickly, he became very dear to all the inhabitants of Vrindavan, all the Brajvasis, especially because of his blissful recitation of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Raghunath Bhatta Goswami would sing complicated Bhagavatam verses in 3-4 different melodies. And other times he would recite the Hare Krishna mantra. And then all the listeners would swoon with love of God. They would, whenever he began such wonderful recitations, people would just become so absorbed. And sometimes, in the middle of that absorption, in hearing and chanting and singing and different melodies, sometimes Raghunath Bhatta would stop abruptly. He would be in a state of trance and start to exhibit these ecstatic symptoms. Tears would fall from his eyes. He would tremble. His voice would falter. The hair on Raghunath Bhatta Goswami's body would stand on the head, stand on end. And he would faint while experiencing the intensity of these beautiful transcendental emotions. And in this way, he continued his stay in Vrindavan we will end our discussion here today, and next time we will continue discussing the glories of Raghunath Bhatta Goswami and the Shat Goswami Astakam. If there are any questions or comments, we can discuss today. In fact, before I end, I'll just say this one more thing quickly, that Raghunath Bhatta Goswami would never, and all the Goswamis, they would never glorify themselves. They would actually relish glorifying others. One time Ashwatthama was brought in front of the Pandavas. This is the quality of the devotees, that we are shy, we amanina manadena, we give respect to others, we glorify others, amanina, and not expect any respect, any glorification in return. In fact, even if we have done the right thing, even if we have done the good thing, and it is to our own credit that we did this, a devotee still gives the credit to others and to Krishna and to the parampara. One time Arjuna came to Yudhishthir's help during the Mahabharata war, and Yudhishthir was fighting and he was almost losing, and Arjuna came, but Arjuna came late by the time everything was over, and Yudhishthir was very angry. And he told Arjuna, what is the use of your Gandiva? This Gandiva bow, you could not come and rescue here? Throw this Gandiva bow away. And Arjuna, he became fearful because he was in a dilemma. My dear elder brother, please don't say like that. I have taken a vow. Whoever offends my Gandiva bow, I will kill him. So I'm very sorry, my dear brother, I have to kill you now. And so he took out his Gandiva bow, and with a heavy heart he started to get the arrow ready. Just then Krishna came. Krishna intervened. Wait, what's happening? What's going on here? And Arjuna said, well, Yudhishthir, brother, he offended my Gandiva bow. I've taken a vow. And Krishna said, you and your vows. Last time you took a vow to kill Jayadratha or you'll enter into the fire. I don't know why you take these kind of vows. But wait, you don't need to kill him physically. I will tell you another way to kill Yudhishthir. And that will fulfill your vow, and it will not kill him physically either. One who is honored, dishonor is worse than death. Krishna says the same thing in Bhagavad Gita also. He repeated that to Arjuna. Remember, at the beginning of the war, I told you this. So dishonor Yudhishthir. Say some bad things to him, that will be equivalent to killing him. Because you honored him so far. If you dishonor him, it's worse than death. And so Arjuna said, oh, okay, that's a way out. And he started saying all these different things against Yudhishthir. It was because of you that we entered the gambling match. Why did you put Draupadi online? All of these things, all the things that were there, he started coming out. You are too good to be a king. Things like that, so many things. And after saying these things slowly, steadily, Arjuna became morose while saying this, and he said, what am I doing? He started feeling guilty. It's not his fault. Why am I just going on saying these things? I just feel so guilty. I should die for saying such things. And he started to commit suicide. Arjuna started crying and saying, I cannot live with myself. I've dishonored my elder brother like this. So Krishna again intervened. Wait. You don't have to, you want to commit suicide? You don't have to kill your body. if one glorifies oneself, it's equivalent to dying. Because once we glorify ourselves, all our pious activities are extinguished. All our pious credits go away. So, glorify yourself. And then it's equal to commit suicide. So then Arjuna started glorifying himself. But the point being, amanina manadena, trinadapi sunichena, tarorapi sahishnuna, amanina manadena, kirtaniya sadahari. All these 6 Goswamis were able to perform kirtaniya sadahari because they would always respect others and not expect anything in return. Be more tolerant than a tree and more humble than a blade of grass. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. If we have any questions or comments, we can take now.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Please accept my humble obeisances.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, you mentioned it's a very wonderful class. I'm very happy to hear your lecture. And in the beginning, you mentioned that the birth date of Raghunath Goswami is not clear. I mean, there is a reason. I thought you were going to explain that.
Reason for what?
Raghunath Goswami's birthday, birth year is not exactly 1509, you were saying. Something like that.
Yeah, so I explained the reason that because he's not written any books, he didn't leave any literary contribution like Jiva Goswami or Rupa Goswami wrote so many books. Upadeshamrita and Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and Sanatan Goswami wrote so many books, and Jiva Goswami, the Sat Sandarbha, Gopal Bhatta Goswami wrote several books and helped Sanatan Goswami in writing. But Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, he would just recite Srimad Bhagavatam. He never wrote anything. And because of that, there's not much known about him in terms of documentary evidences and things like that. So that adds to the lack of information about him. But yeah, still it's said that we know 1505 from the point of view that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reached Banaras. We know that's documented that he was in Banaras in 1514. And it's also there that Tapan Mishra, his son, was 9 years old in 1514. So from that we can deduce that he appeared in 1505. And in 1503, Tapan Mishra was asked to go to Banaras. So from these different ways, we can deduce that he appeared in 1505.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavad. This is Damodar Ananda Das from Bloomington.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you very much for very enlightening. Your class is always so melodious. The way you sing the Astakam, the Shad Goswami Astakam. Thank you very much, Prabhu. So, and very nicely emphasizing once again and explaining that Krishna is the supreme controller and the sanctioner. That everybody, all the living entities have free will. And because people many times think, why this is happening to me, that means Krishna is willing this to happen to me.
Right.
So you explained very nicely, and it's very good explanation that we all have free will, and whatever happens is because of our karmas and our desires. Thank you very much, Hare Krishna.
Thank you. I'm glad that you highlighted these points and gave this feedback. It helps me to know what to focus on. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Hare Krishna.